Hey guys, Rob and Georgia here with you, aka VHS82 apostrophe, with episode number 17 of my ongoing X-Files. A deeper look into, right? With Pusher. Out of the Mythos arc, and into more of a kind of like a Monster of the Week episode, right? Pusher is the title of this week's episode. First dropped February 23rd, is that? 1996. Guesting Robert Wisden as Modell. Julia Arkos as Holly. An interesting little bit of a role there for her. And Vic Polizos as Agent Frank Burst, who plays your sort of typical 1940s type detective, that you would have seen, back in the day. Funny though, Lance Henriksen was actually considered for the role of Modell, which plays our character, the Pusher, for his telekinetic ability to force people to do things that otherwise they would never do. Right, which leads into a very interesting cat and mouse game between Mulder and him, but sort of Mulder and Scully and him, right? But really, this is about him and Mulder. He is apprehended right at the beginning of the show by agents or police under the work of Burst, Agent Frank Burst. And so, you kind of think, well, that was kind of easy. Well, everything is a game for the Pusher. Everything is a game. And he's looking for worthy rivals. And he thinks he has found one in Frank Burst, perhaps. But we'll come to see that he finds a much larger prize in Mulder. And there's a little bit here that sort of reminds you of Seven in a way, in the cat and mouse game a little bit. John Doe, who targets, of course, Somerset and Mills. So it's a bit of a, you come to find out that the Pusher apparently has his abilities as a result of a tumor. And so he's a contract killer. And that is why they're looking for him. But he somehow is able to make each killing look like a suicide. And so therefore, and with his ability to create or implant suggestion into people's minds, be it a judge or just people around him, agents, it really is a game. One that he, for the first time in his life, feels like he has the upper hand. He's always been sort of the little guy, right, who now is faced with a tumor and ultimately probably death if it's not operated on. Sees an opportunity to basically go out in a blaze of glory. And so there's a hearing, in which case he's able to basically mentally project into the judge's mind in such a way that he's let go, and the game is afoot, right? As they say, and so this will continue on. It's some interesting moments in this, and it. If I can say in a negative way, not really negative, but the writer. And I didn't jot his name down. Of course, he's down in there in the notes. I was reading that the writer had initially conceived of this as a possibility for a film. That I believe, because it just feels like the episode feels like, they had something like this big. And in the end, they had to squeeze it down to something this big. And it moves at such a speed that it leaves, or the suggestion that there's a lot more on the plate that we're not getting. And I think as a result of that, this is a much larger idea that was not able to be self-contained as well as it could have been into a 45-minute show. if you think about Romero's Day of the Dead, it's a similar idea where his initial idea is so grand, so epic. In the end, for budgetary reasons, you just can't do it. So, but he was able to bring it down into such a way that unless you're a nerd, I say that with the most positive, like me, and Romero and the films, and there was a much grander view there. For what he turned that grand view into is pretty remarkable in that film Day of the Dead from, was it 85, I think, the third piece of the original 3 films, right? And so, but this one feels like it leaves a lot on the plate, and we're only giving it has a pacing that is weird, at least for me personally. But there's some interesting little things there with Modell is in, I think he's in the grocery store at the beginning. It's the opening scene. He sees a magazine. I can't remember what the magazine was called, but Fluke Man from the episode, the Fluke Man episode is on the cover of this magazine, and it kind of gives him an amused look on his face. I thought that was a nice little throwback to an earlier episode, right? There's a moment where Scully says, in referencing to the pusher, she says, "Oh, so he is a killer and a golfer." Of course, that was sort of a toss at O.J. Simpson, right? And so there's a few of those in here. Holly, the girl who plays Holly, she's really quite remarkable. She's mugged. We don't see it, but we see the after effect, and we see how it is sort of affected her psyche in a way in which the pusher at one point in the episode will take advantage of that in order to gain hold of the situation where he's trying to find out information on Mulder. He has basically infiltrated the FBI. And all he does is put a piece of paper in his pocket that he writes on it, pass. But he's able to mentally project into everyone he walks by. They think they're seeing real ID, and they're not. And so this is the kind of thing you're getting, right, with this episode. In this character who just wants to have this grand moment of glory. And this is it. There's one disturbing scene where they think they've had him nailed at a golf course. And he causes one agent to basically pour gas all over himself and light himself. And that's a little bit of a disturbing moment in the show. The final conclusion, sorry for my voice, the Bulldogs game last night, I pretty much just wasted my voice. Yelling at the TV. Why? I don't know. Why do we yell at the TV? I don't know. As if. Ends in a game of Russian roulette between Mulder and him, which was a nice little ending to this episode. It's one of those where it's hard to just kind of continue on and talk. It has its moments. It's a fun episode. But here's the most intriguing aspect of this episode, Pusher. And I cannot wait for it. And, I'm sort of tempted to jump out ahead and just take a gander at it. Because I have a feeling, Pusher, this is a T, or this is a, what do you call it, I'm about to give something away here. In season 5, episode 8, giving you a chance to turn it off, Pusher returns. I did not know that. I saw that in the trivia on the IMDb. I am so stoked. I have this funny hunch, and I don't remember it off the top of my head, but I have this funny hunch that episode will be a lot more intriguing now that they've got something that they've already done and worked with, and now you're kind of moving it in this other direction, whatever direction that is. I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued to see what they do with it. And so this is going to be another one of those moments at some point down the road. We'll cross paths with it and be able to look back and remember. And it's great when they bring villains back for another hurrah, right? It's great. I love it. And in fact, I think there was even an Easter egg in here directed at Tombs. I can't remember where it is, but it seems like there was. So another not standard, but another Monster of the Week episode. It was a fun watch. It was a good watch. But I'm intrigued by the idea of bringing him back, right? That's going to be fun. So, but that's not till season 5, so we got a long way. Well, not that far. We're officially halfway point of this season. So, pretty soon, by Christmas or whatever, we'll be talking about season 4. And boy, that's going to feel pretty remarkable to already have conquered 3 full seasons, right? And be moving steadily forward. And also, don't forget, I'm doing The Walking Dead. I'm into season 2 now with The Walking Dead. And, of course, Body Bags. Just reviewed Magic from 1978. So definitely check us out on Body Bags. And definitely hit that like. Definitely hit that sub if you've never subbed. Appreciate it. It helps. Leave a comment. And it's always fun to read. And anyways, as always, go Bills.
This is not a dream. Not a dream.
We might be useful to you.